Hi guys, good morning everyone. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Sai Kiran. Today we are going to discuss about AWS IAM, which is Identity and Access Management. Guys, we do have some other components like users, roles, user groups, and policies. So before jumping onto it, first we'll understand what is the sole purpose of IAM, why it is required in AWS services. Okay, guys, imagine there is a startup company and there is a CEO for that startup company and her name is Reshma. For time being, just imagine. So she does have a startup company, and what is her next task? She have to make sure that she is hiring some employees, and she have to make sure that she is delivering the productivity to the end user. So for that, what she has did, she has hired one developer, and then she has hired one QA engineer, and then she has hired one salesperson. Once after you are entering into the organization, they will not, I mean, your manager will not be asking you to do the work directly. Before that, what they will do, they will create or they will give you some access. So before giving that access, what they will do, they will create one username and password for you. Correct? So here Reshma also did the same thing. She has created a user for the developer, she has created a user for the QA, and she has created a user for the sales team also. Nice. Till here it is good. Once after this, see guys, listen properly here, listen carefully. Dev team might be working in a different tools. They might be working on Lambda function, they might be working on developer tools. And QA might be working on a different services. The same like that. Sales might be working on analysis and analytics with the the billing and all those things, billing data and all those things. So in such case, we have to define what actions are allowed. Remember what I'm saying. You have to define what actions are allowed on which resource within the AWS account. Okay, so for that, what we have to do, we have to create a role for them again. So Reshma has created a role for the developer, Reshma has created a role for the QA engineer, and she has created a role for the salesperson also. Nice. Till now it is good. Imagine now you have to give the access to the particular resource. Okay, in AWS there are n number of resources. And again, if you go to EC2, I'll show you the example. If you go to EC2, see how many policies were there, I mean how many type of resources are there under the EC2. So many were there, almost more than 100 were there. So how you will give the access to the user particularly. So in such case, we do have something called access. Okay, I'm going to tell you this, do not worry. Nice. Till now it is good. You have created a user, you have assigned a role, and then you have given access whatever they required. Developer might be want to see the EC2 instance. You have given that access. QA might be want to see something, and you have given the access. Now at last, we do have some groups in our organizations, right? Teams groups. We will be making sure that everyone is standing on the same page. And for the meetings or huddles or any coffee tea breaks, then we are going to ping in that group, and we will make sure everyone is standing on the same page. So for that, what Reshma has did is she has created a group. Sorry guys. She has created a user group for all the developers, she has created a user group for all the testers, she has created a user group for all the sales team. Okay, till here it is good. Now guys, watch very carefully. Here in IAM, this user is nothing but the very first component. Whenever someone requires anything, first you have to create a username and password for them. That is called user. Okay, and then once after creating, as I said before, developer might be working on different tasks. QA might be working on different tools. Developer might be working on different tools. So here you have to define what actions are allowed on which resource within the AWS. Or you can set a permissions that can be assumed by the users or other AWS services. For that, what we'll do, this is the first step. These are roles. For that, we'll be creating the roles. This is the second step. And here I was talking something about access. Access is nothing but policy. Guys, as I said before, see there are how many policies were there in EC2. Imagine if you are giving access to EC2, under EC2 you can restrict the user that he can only view the instance, or he can start and stop the instance, or he can watch the status of the instance. So such kind of access will be done by policy itself. And then at last what we have, user group. User group is again nothing. Imagine there are there are 10 developers now, and in future there are 100 developers within your team. Now, is it possible for you to go to the each and every developer and give the access? No, right? What is the best way? Simply you will keep everyone in the user group, and you will create one policy, and you will attach this policy directly to this user group. I hope you understand my explanation, guys. If you do not understand, I request you to please go back and watch it again. And now we will quickly jump on to the practicals. Before jumping on to the practicals, let me tell you something. I'm telling you on daily basis. Please, please, I request you to do the practicals. If you're not doing the practicals and you feel yourself depressed that you're not cracking the interview, then it's your mistake only, guys. Because nowadays no one is asking what questions, everyone is asking about scenario questions. Here simply an interviewer can ask a simple question on what is the hierarchy of an IAM. You can explain him this in a technical way, not like a storytelling way. First the users, and then like roles, policies, and then user groups. So this is the only way you can achieve scenario based questions and you can crack the interview. Okay, so now we'll quickly jump on to the practicals. Here is my console, guys. Before coming to the session, what I have did is I have created a instance just to avoid wasting time. So when you are creating instance, guys, make sure that you are giving a proper tags, because tags plays a very crucial role here. See, the tag what I've given is owner and the test user one. You also do the same, and then come back here, go to IAM. Just like Kubernetes labels, here in IAM tags plays a very crucial role. Now, before attaching the policy, we need a user, correct? Click on create, and then username is test user one. And then I want create IAM user custom password. I'll keep. Guys, here I'm uncheck marking this, because once after the user has been logged in, it will push him to create a new password. For me, it's not required. If you wanted to do it, you can check mark it and then click on next. Now I'm not going to add any kind of policy. I'll simply click on next, and then I'll create user. Nice, we have created a user. Now what you have to do, you have to create a policy. Before creating a policy, first we'll check whether this console is working as expected or not. Let's log into this user console. My username is test user one, and the password is, see, everything has access denied, and here it is showing 0 instances, but 2 instances are running in our case. See how many instances, 2 instances were there. Now for that, what you have to do is you have to click on policies, create policy. Before creating a policy, what you have to do is you have to open um, policy generator. This is IAM policy generator, guys. Select IAM policy. I want Amazon EC2. Where is my EC2? It should be here somewhere. See, here it is. Amazon EC2. Amazon EC2 do have so many policies. See how many policies were there. But for now, we don't require this. We only require describe instances. I'm going to just give the access to the user just to watch how many instances were running and what was the status of it. So for that, describe status instance, and then I'm going to give what are the types, and then I'm going to give him the access to see what kind of instances we do have, and then add statement, and then create policy. See, generate policy. If the policy has been generated, now simply I'll copy this. I'll go back to, now I'll simply copy this. I'll go back to my Visual Studio Code. I have created a file here, testuser.json, and then I'll paste it here. Nice. So I'll copy this, come back to policy. Now instead of selecting from here, what I'm going to do is I'll simply give the JSON file here completely. I'll paste it, and then I'll click on next. What was the policy name? Test user hyphen policy. No need of giving the description, create a policy. Once after this, it's not done, guys. Now you have to go back to your users again, and you have to make sure that you are attaching this policy. Add permissions, attach existing policy, test user policy, and then click on next. Add permissions. That's it. Now, if you go back to your console and if you refresh, you will be able to see the instances. You will be able to see the status of it and what kind of instances they were using. See, state is running, status is 2 by 2, T2 micro. We do have the access to view it. Now, if the user try to stop this instance, he might not be having the access because we have not given an authorization to him. See, you are not authorized to perform this operation. Now, let's go back here and create one more policy. Now, let's open GPT. You can open any of the AI tools. Your organization might be having some AI tools. Generate a policy for IAM instance start and stop along with the resource and condition tag. See, here is the policy we got. I'll copy this. Come back here, paste it. Control Shift P for format document. It will make sure the indentation is set properly. See here, what we are doing is we are giving the user to access to start and stop the instance, and then on which AWS account you want to do, you have to do that. You have to mention your account ID here. Here, instead of star, you can simply give INSTANC instance ID, guys, directly. But imagine if there are 20 instances, you cannot give 20 instances ID, right? So in such case, what I'm going to do is I'll just give star. Don't confuse here. If I'm giving star, that doesn't mean this user can go ahead and stop other instances. No, it's not like that. Now what we're going to do is we are going to give the tags here. Owner, what was the name we have given? Owner, and the value what we have given? Test user 1. Test user 1. And what was our AWS account ID? Go here and then click on account and then copy it. Come back to Visual Studio Code and paste your account ID. Save it. Go back to policies again. Where is policy? Yeah, here is my policy. I'll click on it. I'll click on edit. I'll change the entire thing and then I'll click on next. I'll save the changes. Policy has been applied. Now if you go back to your user account and if you refresh, you should be able to stop the instance. You should be able to stop the instance. Guys, in this code I forgot to tell you something. This star represents a region. If you wanted to do it on a particular region like US East 1, US West, or Asia Pacific, then you can simply enter the region here. Okay, now go back to the policy and our user, and then let's try to stop this instance and we'll see if we do have the access or not. We should have the access. Click on stop instance. See, the instance has been stopped successfully, but before what it showed, you are not an authorized user. Now let's, what we can do is, now let's open route 53. Let's develop slowly, guys. Let's not confuse. If you open route 53 again, you will not be having any access. See, but in our route 53 we do have some hosted zones. Now give the access for route 53 also. I'll simply give full view access. Route 53 full policy for, see, here it is. What you have to do, you have to copy this, come back and paste it here. For formatting the document, Control Shift P and format document. Copy everything, guys. This is the way you have to develop, guys. You should not directly go and copy and paste the code. That's not the right way. Even in your test or production environment, make sure you're doing it step by step. See, first what we did, we have created an EC2. I mean, we have given an access to the user for check the status. Then we have given access for start and stop. Then for Route 53. Now, and then if you go back to the users again, if you refresh, now you'll be able to see the hosted zones. Just hold on. See, we are able to see the hosted zones here. Now let's come back. I'm going to show you something now, which is called as inline policies. If you come back to policy, if you come back to user, I'm sorry, if you come back to user, there is something called inline policy. Guys, this inline policy is something I should have created two users actually. I have created only one, I mean two instances. I have created only one instance. See, there is an instance called, this is user 1 and this is user 2. Here what we did, we have created a separate policies for it. This is policy 1 and this is policy 2. With inline, if we are if we are imagine if we are giving only EC2 access, and then here we are giving only S3 access to it. Okay, for time being, what this inline policy what this inline policy will do is, you can directly copy this JSON file in the inline policy. Then what this user one will have is, he will be having both EC2 and S3 access also. This is called inline policy actually. I should have created two instances and show you, but it's okay. I just try to understand the story. So this is how inline policy works. Or if I copy this JSON file of user one, and if I paste it in inline policy, he will be having S3 and EC2. No need of creating separate policy and attaching it to the user. Simply go to the inline policy and you can paste the JSON file there. So he will be having access of both. This is inline policy. And now we do have something called permission boundaries, guys. This is quite important. I'll delete this. Okay, I'll delete this policy. Due to some reasons, the admin has given a full rights to this test user 1. Full rights is nothing but administrator access, which means he have the full access, just like our CEO in the example. He can do anything. He can delete, he can stop, and he can do whatever he want to do. He can delete the production servers also if he's having for administrator access. So in such case, how we can restrict him, how we can set up permission boundaries. There is something called permission boundaries. If you click on set permission boundaries, you can select our test user policy. Or I'll do one thing, I'll create one more policy here. I'll name this as permission boundaries dot json. I'll open GPT again, generate only view access for S3 and EC2 instance. Administrator access means he can do whatever he want to do, guys. Now what I'm doing is, I'm just restricting him with the boundaries. What you have to do is, you have to create one policy and then paste your entire policy here. Click on next, set this as permission boundary, and then come down, create a policy. Once after you create it, go back to the users. See, here he do have administrator access, right? If I open S3 here, this does have administrator access. Now we haven't added any permission boundaries to this administrator access. Now I can do whatever I want to do. Simply what I'll do is, I can 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 some bucket I'm going to create. It will not throw any error, and it will simply create the bucket. Okay, now if I restrict it, see guys properly, I'm going to restrict it with permission boundaries. Refresh here, or else your policy will not get visible. Yeah, here it is. In this permission boundary, what we have given, only to allow, easy to describe, and only to create, I mean list S3 buckets. Correct. Now I'll click on set boundary. A new boundary has been set to that user, and if I refresh, and if I refresh, if I create a bucket, see what error it will throw. Create bucket failed because permissions denied for this particular, see, permission is required. But before, during the time of this administrator access, we have created one bucket here. See, okay. So this is all about permissions and policies in IAM, guys. Tomorrow we are going to discuss on a different topic. So I hope you understand what we have discussed today. And if you understand and if you're able to do the practicals, please like my video and please do subscribe, guys. And also send this video to the people whomsoever willing to learn. And that's all from my end today. If you have any doubts, you can put it in the comment section. Also, you can ping me on LinkedIn. And have a nice day, everyone. We'll meet you in the tomorrow session. Bye bye.